Hello and welcome to another episode of But Have You Heard About Conspiracy Theory Edition? Dun 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 dun. I'm your host, Courtney, and I'm joined as always by my wonderful, lovely husband, Matt.
Hello.
As always, Matt has no idea what the conspiracy theory is before we start, which is kind of fun. And today we're going to do one that involves a former president. I would say guess, but I don't feel like anybody's really going to guess this because the only thing you could probably think of is JFK.
Ulysses S. Grant.
Ooh, that's a good one, but no. This is actually about my least favorite president of all time.
Andrew Jackson.
Good job. Yes. Andrew Jackson, who was the seventh president of the United States from 1829 to 1837. So let's go over some facts. He legitimately believed there was a conspiracy theory to get him murdered.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun. Which makes total sense because he kind of was a scumbag.
Right.
So.
That's all normal stuff for a president, I think, in general.
I mean,
everyone's out to get you. Everyone hates you, blah, blah, blah. So
find it ironic when people try to compare Trump to Jackson, and Jackson was completely paranoid and believed in conspiracy theories. And I'm like, yeah, Trump does too. So this makes total sense. Anyways, facts. In 1835, there was an attempt to murder Andrew Jackson at a South Carolina congressman's funeral. There were two sidearms that misfired, and Jackson was fine. And the attacker was subdued by onlookers. Even a reporter at the time noticed how there were so many people that couldn't even stand each other being in the same room. Seems fun. So the attacker, his name was Richard Lawrence. He was an unemployed house painter. Both of those pistols misfired because that morning there was a mist that had dampened the percussion caps. I know nothing about firearms, but back in the day when you had to single load them.
Right, you probably had a flintlock pistol or something, and there's multiple components to a flintlock working. You need, obviously you need your gunpowder and your projectile, but there's other components that you need.
Yeah, I don't know much about weapons, and I definitely don't know anything about 19th century or early 19th century weapons.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that it's a manually loaded weapon, then there's a lot of nuances to getting it to work properly. And yeah, moisture's not your friend.
Exactly. So basically, because that morning was very cloudy and misty, supposedly that's what dampened it. And he wanted to kill Jackson because he assumed that Jackson was keeping him out of work, and he was an unemployed house painter. And the other one was because Jackson was keeping him from his English throne.
Wait, what?
Exactly. They wound up having a trial. So it took the jury all of 5 minutes to find that he was guilty by reason of insanity. Because it didn't seem plausible for an ordinary guy like Lawrence to somehow walk up to him or walk up to Jackson, old Hickory himself, and almost kill him with two pistols, there had to be a sinister plot.
Right. In
Jackson's mind.
So Andrew Jackson is the one toting this conspiracy theory.
Yes.
But people believe him?
Oh, yes. Okay. Hold on. The plot thickens.
I doubt a dual-wielding, gun-toting average Joe wouldn't be able to just walk up to the president of the United States. I don't see how that's possible, but maybe, this is a long time ago, so maybe.
Well, it was a funeral, so...
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
So, Jackson assumed it had to be Senator George Poindexter, who was a Democrat from Mississippi.
Poindexter?
Poindexter is his last name.
What a dork.
So Poindexter had backed Jackson in the 1820 race, but then broke with him over economic and patronage matters. I don't really care what happened, but they disagreed, and so he did not back him.
Right.
So in Jackson's mind, that was enough motive for Poindexter to murder him. And starting the afternoon of the shooting, so we're talking hours later, he told all who called on him at the White House that Poindexter was out to get him.
Right.
Literally the same reporter who had said that can't believe all of these people who hate each other sitting next to each other apparently endured a rant by Jackson and called it painful to hear a chief ruler publicly trying to persuade a foreigner that any of his constituents hated him to death. And I took the liberty of changing the subject as soon as I could. End quote. So Jackson had Jackson left, had all these suspicions. And it seemed to be confirmed when two Washington locals by the last names of Foy and Stewart decided to submit affidavits to a justice of the peace. In these documents, the men asserted that they had seen Lawrence visit Poindexter's house days before the shooting. The plot thickens, or does it? So This is the 1800s. Duels are still kind of a thing. We're only on the seventh president. Alexander Hamilton is not that dead in his grave that he got killed by Aaron Burr. Mm. Honor is a very big thing, especially in early America, because that's how you...
That was your rep.
It was your rep. And if you didn't have it, your family's gonna... You don't got no street cred. You ain't got that... Whatever. If you don't have the gusto, it doesn't matter. So Poindexter was like, oh, hell no. Demanded the Senate appoint a committee to investigate the charges against him.
Right.
He's like, there's affidavits, put them in a committee and grill them. So Foy and Stewart, just as you probably suspected, did not hold up well under questioning.
No, they probably buckled instantly.
Foy did not even know where Poindexter's house was, and Stewart could not describe what Lawrence even looked like. People who knew them actually testified that Foy was a drunk and Stewart was a liar. So why had they come up with this whole ludicrous tale? Well, Foy was a blacksmith, said that a government contractor who came to him promised him work on the new iron fence at the Treasury Department if he would finger Poindexter.
Ooh.
And he named the guy Coltman. Coltman, when he's questioned in turn, denied offering quid pro quo, but admitted that he had encouraged Foy and Stewart to tell their stories, which he definitely probably helped be like,
that's some bull. 100%. I smell it from here in the present day.
Exactly. So the committee report, as you would have suspected, unanimously accepted by the Senate in early March, cleared Poindexter, dismissed Foy as an alcoholic, and expressed hope that Stewart and Coltman would be held up to public odium. Basically being like, hopefully the public takes care of you and your lies, you slandering people.
Right. You got no street cred now.
Exactly. Lawrence came to trial, and he basically frequently disrupted his own proceedings and established that he was an out-of-mind gunman, like that he had no idea what he was really doing. Mm-hmm. And again, the jury only took 5 minutes to declare him not guilty by reason of insanity.
Dude's nuts.
Yeah. So prior to Jackson being president, there was a lot of back and forth political backdoor room type of shenanigans going on to make John Quincy Adams president before Jackson during the 1824 election. Because Jackson actually had won more of the electorate and more of the popular vote. However, he didn't get the majority of the electorate. And so because he didn't get the majority of the electorate vote, it went to Congress. And because there were some people whose states had technically voted for Jackson or had voted for the third party, which was the totally other conspiracy theory we'll talk about sometime. It's anti-Freemason party. Anti-Masonic party. John Quincy Adams became president, and there was a whole thing. People tried to be like, Andrew Jackson, we're going to riot if he's not. We're going to put him on the throne of being president, whether it's by votes or bayonets.
Oh, Lord.
With that logical thinking.
There were crazy people back then, too.
Always been crazy people. But, because of that thinking and everything, it makes sense to me why Jackson would be paranoid enough to think that someone who should have been committed to a mental asylum at the time or had some sort of mental help tried to murder him. And he just didn't. He couldn't accept, just like any other conspiracy theories, you can't accept that someone by themselves had somehow almost murdered you. From the opposition, there was dissent that basically said that Jackson had staged the attack on himself to win public sympathy. And if you want to get real fancy, back in the day, there even was a correspondent that anticipated how engrossed we are with the grassy knoll theory with JFK, that they hypothesized that the percussion caps on Lawrence's pistols had been greased beforehand to ensure that they would malfunction.
Just to make sure that you didn't accidentally kill the president.
Yeah, it was all conspiracy theories aren't new, especially in politics.
No.
But obviously this one is definitely debunked, but knowing that you had a president who had an assassination attempt on them convinced people that would listen to him that, yes, this guy totally was doing it. He was totally going to murder me, yada, yada. And he was propositioned by a senator who no longer likes me and all this other stuff.
It's almost like a bad president thinks everyone hates him and is out to get him. And everything that is a slight at him is some huge conspiracy against him to make him look bad.
Well, Jackson also ran that he was...
Heard that before?
Where have we heard that recently? But Jackson also believed that he was of the people and he wanted to, rule of the people, and he came from the people, which also sounds eerily familiar. It was just very interesting, to say the least.
A dude thinks that an assassination attempt is some Illuminati scheme to make him look bad or whatever.
Well, he didn't even think it was Illuminati. He just thought it was a backstabbing attempt by somebody who was upset.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like that makes it worse.
Like, he just got hired an assassin to kill me. It's like, shut the hell up.
But yeah, so that is the last conspiracy theory we're going to do until we go into spooky conspiracy stuff for October, because it's spooky season. Woo!
I'm excited for that.
Spooky.
Ghost stories? Hell yeah.
ghosties with the mosties. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed this last one before Spooky Town.
I'm excited.
Excited for ghosties. I don't know why I said Spooky Sound instead of Spooky Town, but whatever. Enunciating is hard on a Sunday night for us. And with that, we bid you adieu and hopefully have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.